What if you were just an ordinary passenger, sitting quietly in seat 12F on a commercial flight and suddenly, fighter jets appear outside your window? The captain sounds terrified, and then, the jets demand your name. The entire U.S. Air Force is waiting for you to speak. And when you do, every F-22 pilot stands at attention. Why? Because of a single call sign no one saw coming. The airport buzzed like a living organism. Voices blending into a constant hum, luggage wheels clattering across polished floors, boarding calls echoing from distant gates. People rushed through security lines, some clutching passports, others glued to their phones. It was chaos to most, but to Elena Parker, it was just white noise. She sat in a corner near gate 32, hands wrapped around a lukewarm coffee cup, staring at nothing in particular. A worn leather bag rested by her feet, its edges frayed like it had seen places most people only dreamed of, or had nightmares about. Elena wore a plain black jacket, jeans and scuffed boots. No jewelry, no makeup. She looked like someone who blended into the background, and that was exactly what she wanted. When the gate agent announced pre-boarding for Flight 219 to Washington, D.C., she stood, stretching muscles that ached more than she liked to admit. Her steps were unhurried, yet oddly precise, as if every movement was measured. Her boarding pass read Seat 12, a window seat. She liked windows. They gave her something to focus on when the thoughts crept in. Elena filed into the jet bridge behind a mother wrangling two toddlers and in front of a businessman barking orders into his headset. No one looked twice at her. Just another passenger among many. She scanned the interior of the plane as she stepped inside, habit, not curiosity. The exits, the layout, the faces. She registered everything in a heartbeat before sliding into her row. 112, window. Perfect. She tucked her bag under the seat, buckled in, and exhaled slowly. The man in 12E glanced at her briefly, mid-40s, expensive suit, Bluetooth earpiece still in. Evening, he said with a polite nod before turning back to his tablet. Elena gave a faint smile. Evening. The engines roared to life, and soon the plane was climbing through the clouds. The fasten seatbelt sign dinged off, and passengers relaxed. Flight attendants rolled carts down the aisles, laughter rippled from the rows where families sat, and the man beside her ordered a whiskey neat. Elena ordered water. Always water. To anyone watching she seemed calm, maybe even tired. But her fingers told a different story. They tapped lightly on her thigh in a strange rhythm. 3 quick taps, a pause, then 2 more. Over and over. Like a code no one else could read. 30 minutes into the flight the turbulence hit. It started as a light tremor, just enough to make drinks wobble. Then came a hard jolt that rattled overhead bins and sent a baby wailing. Gasps rippled through the cabin. The intercom clicked on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a little unexpected turbulence. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. The businessman cursed under his breath, fumbling for his belt. Elena, though she didn't look at the sign, her eyes were on the window, and then she froze. A shadow cut through the clouds outside, sleek, silent, deadly, and F-22 of Raptor. Passengers noticed too. Murmurs erupted. What the hell? Why is there a fighter jet next to us? Is this some kind of escort? Oh my god. Are we in danger? Another Raptor slid into formation on the opposite wing. 2 now. Both flying tight and steady like wolves flanking prey. Phones came out. People filmed, whispering frantically. A child asked if they were in a movie. The intercom crackled again, but it wasn't the captain this time. The voice that spoke was deep, commanding and cold. Passenger in seat 12F. Identify yourself. Gasps filled the cabin. Heads turned like dominoes, one after another, until every eye was locked on her. 112F Elena. The man in the suit stared at her, face pale. What is this? Elena didn't move for a second. Her pulse hammered but her face stayed calm. She had 2 choices: deny everything, or accept what she had spent years running from. Slowly, she unbuckled her belt. Her spine straightened, her shoulders squared, and when she spoke, her voice was steady, cold steel under velvet. Call sign Valkyrie. Authorization Echo, 7-9. The cabin went dead silent. The intercom paused for a beat, then came a sound no one on that plane would ever forget. Copy that. Valkyrie confirmed. Outside, both F-22s dipped their wings in perfect unison. A salute to a woman sitting in coach in a black jacket and worn-out boots. Whispers erupted. Valkyrie. What's Valkyrie? I. Military. Oh my god, who I she? The businessman's voice shook. Lady, what the hell did you just say? Elena didn't answer. She just closed her eyes, jaw clenched tight, as ghosts from a life she'd buried came rushing back. 20 minutes later, the plane began to descend. Not toward Dulles, but toward a vast stretch of tarmac gleaming under floodlights. Andrews Air Force Base. When the landing gear touched down, passengers craned their necks to the windows and saw it. Rows of soldiers in dress uniforms, standing rigid generals, security convoys, and beyond them the entire wing of F-22 pilots, lined up like an honor guard. The plane stopped, engines powered down, silence, then the door opened and 2 officers stepped inside. Crisp blues, polished shoes, eyes sharp. They scanned the cabin once, and walked straight to row 12. "Mom," one said, voice firm but reverent. "Welcome home." Every passenger watched in stunned silence as Elena Parker, seat 12F, rose to her feet. She didn't grab her bag. She didn't look back. And as she stepped onto the tarmac, every F-22 pilot snapped to attention, saluting the woman they once called Commander Valkyrie, the legend who vanished years ago. What they didn't know was this: Valkyrie wasn't back for glory. She was back because something bigger than any of them was coming. To be continued her dark past, the mission that made her a hero, the truth about why the Air Force pulled her back now, and the shocking twist that changes everything. The moment Elena stepped onto the tarmac, the weight of the salutes hit her like a wall. Hundreds of eyes tracked her every move. Uniforms gleamed under the floodlights. The air was sharp with jet fuel and authority. She hadn't worn a uniform in 5 years, but her body remembered, the way her spine straightened, the instinctive nod she gave to the senior officers, the rhythm of boots on concrete. For a split second, she felt like Commander Valkyrie again. But that woman had died a long time ago. The 2 officers flanked her silently as they led her toward a black SUV waiting at the edge of the runway. The door opened, and inside sat a man she hadn't seen since the day she walked away from it all. "General Marcus Hale, Valkyrie," he said, voice gravelly, eyes hard. "Hell of a way to say you're back." "I'm not back," Elena replied coldly, sliding into the seat. "You dragged me here." The door shut, sealing them in. The convoy rolled forward. "Dragged you?" Hale's mouth curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. "You think a commercial pilot just accidentally radios the Air Force because 2 Raptors scramble in formation? You broke protocol, Elena. The second you spoke that call sign, this became official." She turned her gaze out the tinted window. The base blurred by, hangars, floodlights, jets sleeping like beasts under steel shelters. "I didn't have a choice," she muttered. "You always have a choice," Hale said quietly. "You chose to come back, and now, you're going to finish what you started." Her hands clenched into fists. "Don't do this, Marcus. I walked away for a reason." He didn't flinch. "Yeah, you walked away because of him?" The silence between them was sharp enough to cut skin. Elena's jaw tightened. Memories she had buried clawed their way up. The desert sun, the burning wreckage. The sound of his voice in her headset. "Don't," she warned, her voice low, dangerous. But Marcus didn't stop. "You left because your wingman didn't make it home. Because you blamed yourself." Her eyes snapped to his, blazing. "I didn't blame myself. I killed him." The words hung heavy in the air, the truth raw and jagged. Hale studied her for a long moment, then spoke softly. "You didn't kill him. The enemy did. And if you'd stayed, you'd know what I'm about to tell you." Elena frowned. "What are you talking about?" Hale leaned forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Your wingman, Captain Aaron Cole, the one you buried 5 years ago. He's not dead." The world tilted. Elena's breath caught in her throat. "That's not possible," she whispered. "We never recovered a body. Intel went dark that day. And now we have proof he's alive." But not for long. Her pulse roared in her ears. Memories slammed into her like a tidal wave. The last mission, the ambush, the fireball that swallowed his jet. She'd seen it explode with her own eyes. She'd heard his last words, "Go, Valkyrie, finish the mission." And now they were saying he lived. "Where is he?" she demanded. Hale slid a classified folder across the seat. Elena opened it and froze. A grainy photo stared back at her. A man shackled to a chair, head bowed, face bloodied, but unmistakably Aaron Cole. The man who once trusted her with his life. The man she had mourned every single day since that mission. "Where?" she said again, her voice a blade. Hale's jaw tightened. "Deep inside enemy territory. A black site controlled by the Phoenix Syndicate. You know what they're capable of. If we don't move fast, he'll vanish for good, or worse." Elena's hands shook, but not from fear. From fury. From guilt that never truly died. "You had this intel for how long?" she hissed. "Long enough to know we can't get him back without you." Her laugh was bitter, hollow. "You think I'm going to suit up after 5 years and walk into hell because you asked nicely?" "No," Hale said evenly. "I think you're going to do it because you owe him." The SUV stopped in front of a massive hangar. The door yawned open, revealing the sleek silhouette of an F-22 Raptor gleaming under harsh white lights, her jet. The one they called the Valkyrie's wing. Elena stared at it, her chest tight. She had sworn never to touch a cockpit again. Sworn never to feel that surge of power, that lethal grace. Sworn to disappear, and yet there it was. Waiting. You brought me back, she said. But if I do this, if I even think about doing this, it's on my terms. Heel nodded. Name them. 1. Elena said sharply. I choose the team. No politics. Done. 2. She continued. When this is over you let me vanish. For good. Hale hesitated, then nodded again. Agreed. Elena turned back to the jet, its sleek curves like a predator ready to hunt. Her reflection stared back at her. Older, scarred, but still the Valkyrie. She whispered to herself, barely audible. God help me. Then she looked at Hale, eyes burning with a fire she thought had died. When do we leave? Hale's answer was like a war drum. Wheels up at 0400s. Through that night. As Elena walked into the empty barracks assigned to her, she opened the folder again and stared at Aaron's photo. His bruised face haunted her. She remembered the way he used to grin before a mission. The way he called her Val, like it was their little secret, the way he trusted her with his life. And she remembered the explosion. The fire. The deafening silence after his last words. Now he was out there, broken, bleeding, waiting. And for the first time in 5 years, the Valkyrie was going back to war. But what she didn't know was this: Aaron Cole wasn't just a prisoner. He held something the Phoenix Syndicate would kill to keep. A secret that could burn the world to ashes. And Elena Parker was the only one who could stop them.